Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is the long-awaited and long-overdue Q&A video. Now, I know half my face is shrouded in whiteness, but that's okay. I don't have the setup yet to do amazing videos. So here's what we have. And I'm going to get right into it because there's no sense in muddling around in nonsense. First question. Do you have siblings? And if so, do they have the impersonation talent like you? Well, I do have siblings. I have five younger siblings. While a couple of them do voices, no one aspires to do as many as I do. There are a couple voices that each of them do. Uh, there's probably a couple siblings that say they don't do any voices, but I've heard them do their own voices. Not necessarily impressions, but there are voices. My littlest brother, Mr. L, we'll call him, he does really good impressions, and he's working on it. He's an up and comer. I'll say that. Second question. Favorite superhero. My favorite superhero is probably Spider Man, closely followed by Captain America in the Marvel side. And if you go to DC, my all time favorite superhero, Superman, the Man of Steel. So I'm super excited about the Snyderverse, and I hope that we restore it. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Snyder voice? Snyder voice. I sounded like Elmer Fudd there. Be very quiet. I'm hunting Wabbit. The Snyder voice. Question 3. What is your process for beginning a new impersonation and getting it perfected? Well, my process, sometimes there's no process at all. Um, no, I meant to quote. To quote the earthworm from James and the Giant Peach, the problem is that there is no problem. That's not really a quote, but I like that, and it made me think of that. There's not always a process, but if I have a process, I YouTube a voice that I want to learn, and I YouTube a monologue of that voice or a repeated phrase from that voice. And I practice with one headphone in, one headphone out, and I just try to match it. I just try to match it. And that's been pretty effective. The easiest way is to start with a simple phrase. So for Donald Trump, you might want to start with, okay, 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 okay. But yeah. Question 4. Do your friends and family have an idea of your reach and following? Yes. My family is super excited when I get to a goal of mine. And so much so that one of my sisters, we'll call her Miss M, can be featured and can be seen on my TikTok channel. And we do a dance together. I don't do dances. I'm not a TikTok dancer. I do vibes, which is more me vibing in place, right? Because I don't dance. I don't have the skills. But I groove, I groove. So we groove. We learn a TikTok dance every time I hit 10K more than I was last time. So you can check those out. Those are my TikTok channels. I'll link it down below. But yeah, they do. They get excited when I get excited, and I really appreciate that. And my friends do too. My friends have supported me big time through all of this, and I really appreciate that. Shout out to you. You know who you are. Question 5. How many impressions do you do? There are so many impressions that I do. I do 220 as of right now, and they're constantly growing. I made a video earlier today with 4 or 5 impressions that I've never done before. It's a Downton Abbey video. It's up on TikTok. Go check it out. Is there anything you're thinking about doing? I've been thinking about doing impressions all the time. I constantly think about impressions. I constantly try to do impressions. Can't do Morgan Freeman. I have done Morgan Freeman one time on TikTok and one time on Vine. And needless to say, it's not the greatest impression, but we're working on it. We're working on it. Question 6. One thing you learned about yourself in 2020 or just in general. I know I read that completely not the way she wrote it, but that's how I read it in my brain. I read things out loud the way I read them in my brain. I get the subject. I don't necessarily get it word for word. 2020, I learned the art of patience and the art of loving yourself. Now, not to say that I didn't love myself before 2020, but in 2020 I was focused on myself because who wasn't? There was nothing else to do. You focused on yourself and the Netflix show you were binging at the time. And so I focused on myself and I learned what I love about myself more than I did before because I had the time to do that. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciated that. Question 7. What would you do for a Klondike bar? And you got to read that like, what would you do for a Klondike bar? And the answer is quite a lot. I do really love Klondike bars. I don't think I do anything illegal for a Klondike bar, but I would push the limits of legality for a Klondike bar. I will answer that. Question 8. What is beyond cool, Hannah? My dear Hannah. Hannah and I, fun fact, just a little backstory. Hannah and I became friends on Twitter because we sat at the same table pre-COVID for a Jay Farrow stand-up show at the Funny Bone in Hartford. And we became friends, followed each other on Twitter, and we have this inside running joke uh, where she'll post something and I'll say, that's beyond cool. And she'll reply with, what is beyond cool? So her question is, what is beyond cool? And I will submit an answer. Beyond cool is not quite amazing, but it's better than cool. So if something's amazing, it is beyond cool. Amazing can be beyond cool, but not everything beyond cool can be amazing. Boom. There you go. Knowledge. Question 9. Wow. There are like five, no, wait, one, two, three, four questions. All right. How'd you start doing impressions? So my first impression was an impression of an Indian. I can't speak today. My first impression was an impression of an Indian substitute teacher I had in 7th grade named Mrs. Kumar. And Mrs. Kumar was a lovely lady, but she was very different because, and I'll never forget this, she had a phrase that no one else has ever used. She said, "Holy cauliflower." And I thought that was the funniest and amazingest phrase I've ever heard. Yes, I made up amazingest. Um, and I just started doing an impression of that. And she would be like, "Holy cauliflower." And it was so great. Like, there was nothing, of course, mean spirited behind it, but that was my first impression. And it just kind of snowballed after that. What inspired you to give positive affirmation every day? Um, for me, positive affirmation means a lot because I'm not always happy. I'm not always happy. I struggle. I struggle like everybody else. And if I can tell other people that it's going to be a good day, I can look at that and be like, you know what? That message is for you too. You can also have a good day. And so I make them kind of for myself. I know that sounds selfish, but it's kind of for myself. um, yeah, but then I know that someone else could use them too. So, when did you realize you had this talent? Um, Ever since I was a little kid, I've been making weird voices, and then I didn't realize I could do it to the tune of celebrities until I was in like freshman year of high school. So I go with freshman year of high school. How's the Biden impression coming along? Well, folks, we did what we had to do. We're kicking COVID in the rear. All right. I don't remember if okay, we're on question 10. All right, here we go. Question 10. Oh, boop. Boop. There we go. You do impressions of political figures, but what is the goal of your content? Thank you. That is a lovely question. The goal of my content is to make people smile, make people laugh, maybe even to make you think. Um, I don't really care about politics. I appreciate politics. I love discussions about politics, but I am someone who doesn't like to divide people. I like to unify people, make people come together. And so that's the goal of my content. And I really appreciate that question. Question 11. How did you get so good at voices? Practice, practice. And a lot of voices I just luck into. A lot of voices are just like, oh my gosh, I can do that. Amazing. But yeah, Guys, thanks so much for coming to my Q&A. If you're new to the video, new to the channel, hit the like button, hit the bell for post notifications. I think that's a YouTube thing, right? You hit the hammer over the head, right? And hit that subscribe button. Make sure you stop by for more awesome videos like this one. I hope you liked it. Bye.